Welcome to our Leaders Like Us campaign of interviews with our mentors as part of the overall vision for our development program. This is a great opportunity to share their corporate career stories, tips and hints with all our mentees and young people across the country. We'd like to help young people of all backgrounds feel inspired to succeed, gain insights and access to a diverse set of corporate leaders that they feel they can relate to. This interview is with the Senior Director, Global Digital Transformation at SAP, based at their UK headquarters office in London. SAP is one of the largest global technology, ERP and consulting companies, with sales of 25 billion euros in 2018 and almost 100,000 employees working across more than 40 countries. You can work in technology, development, and client-facing consulting services in SAP, but you can also consider many other roles and functions such as sales and marketing, corporate operations, finance and HR. SAP also has comprehensive programs for students and great opportunities to gain experience through their campus programs, internships, and vocational training. Frank Omar, a Senior Director at SAP, is one of our charity's mentors, and here he tells us about his career story. His journey is an exemplary one, showing that your background and circumstances should not hinder your aspiration and determination to succeed. Frank is a great role model because he strives towards his professional achievement while also devoting much effort to corporate social responsibility projects as well as active involvement with his family. Frank, welcome and thank you for doing an interview under our Leaders Like Us campaign. Frank, as you know, our Leaders Like Us campaign is really about bringing relatable role models to the young people that we work with and mentor. So thank you for taking part.
It's my pleasure.
Frank, first of all, what particularly interests me about your background is that although you came from a very loving, supportive and values-driven family, you didn't have any privileges and you came from a fairly tough background. Mm-hmm. You are now a Senior Director in SAP and have had an illustrious career to date.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about the journey it took to get you from there to here?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much for acknowledging that my home life, although difficult, was very loving and supportive. And that's a key thing here. So I am one of four, I'm the oldest. So there's always a lot of pressure on me to be a role model to my siblings and to lead by example. I was brought up by a single parent, i.e. my mother. And she came up to this country in the 60s, a very hard-working person, and she instilled in us all of those values about determination, hard work, honesty, trust, integrity. And she was a role model to me. And I know a lot of people say, well, I didn't have both parents in the house, and I didn't have these advantages or whatever. I would seriously challenge that because I had absolutely nothing. And my mother at the time had two jobs. She worked in a factory during the day, and she had a cleaning job in the evening. We very rarely saw her. But in the environment we were in, there was always this air of determination, doing your homework, trying to be the best you possibly could, trying to excel at school, making sure that when there was parents' evenings, my mother had a good story to hear from the teachers in terms of determination, hard work, getting the homework done, being disciplined. So we never wanted to let down our mother in any way. And yes, there was a lot of pressure on me as the eldest, but that was fine. It was a role which I truly accepted. So the journey was not easy, it was tough. Unlike most of my friends who were teenagers, I wasn't going out. I wasn't going down the pub, going into nightclubs when I shouldn't have been. So I think it's fair to say there was an element of discipline and strictness. And I know it doesn't come to everybody terms of discipline and being strict with yourself. But I think you have to set yourself some targets and some guidelines and work towards those. So if your ambition is to get a good set of GCSEs, that you've got to work out what you need to do. No one's going to give them to you, you've got to work for them. If you want a good set of A-levels, it's the same thing. And it's a bit of a journey in terms of being disciplined, getting good grades at GCSEs, then getting the A-levels, and then getting to go to university. So it's a bit of a train, if you like, but it's seeing where the end point might be in that journey. And also trying to enjoy that journey, picking subjects you're really passionate about. There's no sense in saying, well, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor, and you're not going to like the journey, you're not going to like the subjects. You've really got to be passionate about what you're doing, because that passion creates the opportunities. I'm a firm believer, follow your heart, follow your ambitions, follow your passions, and the opportunities will come. So what I would say to young people is, think about what you're really good at, think about what you're passionate about, what drives you, what motivates you. The opportunities will come, but do not waste the opportunity you have. The biggest opportunity that young people have is youth. You have your whole life ahead of you. You have the journey ahead of you to plan. You have the ambitions, you have the desire, you have the vision. Don't squander it.
Absolutely. And you had younger siblings.
Yes.
Who, from the same environment, a hardworking, engaged mother who cared what she hears at parents' evening, and clearly a good role model for an older brother. Your younger siblings have done very well as well. Were they girls, boys?
Yes.
What were the set of values as a family that got you all to do well and fulfill your potential?
Yes, I think it's fair to say that there's a combination of things which worked in our favour. For those of you who are listening, may be able to detect a northern accent. So I was brought up in the north of England. I was brought up in Yorkshire, which is quite a tough place to be. The commercial opportunities aren't there as they are in London or the southeast. So Yorkshire people are very driven. They're very hard-working people, and also, if you couple that with the fact that my parents are African in terms of nationality, so those two things work to my favour. Being brought up in the north of England in a very disciplined part of the country, and also having African parents, first generation African parents, who were very structured, and education was so important to them. I was able to flourish in that type of environment, as I said, in terms of having the ambition, the desire to want to be the best I possibly could, picking subjects I was really passionate about. And I picked subjects like physics and chemistry, which weren't the easiest of subjects, but believe it or not, I was passionate about them, so it felt easy. I got two younger brothers and a sister. My sister is the youngest. I went on to study chemical engineering at university, and I've had a very interesting career since then. My brother studied mechanical engineering. I've got a brother who studied business studies, and my sister is a solicitor.
Very interesting. Varied subjects, and equally successful.
Yes.
And happy and united family. As you knew what subjects you're passionate about and you enjoyed at school, did you think at that point beyond your education? Did you have dreams and ambitions about the kind of jobs you want to do or the kind of companies you want to work for?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. I knew that I wanted to use my degree. So when I left university, I was an R&D engineer. I did that for a number of years, decided I wanted to work in an environment more people-centric, so I moved into manufacturing. And from there I moved into supply chain management and procurement, and over the years I specialised in procurement. So I started off quite broad, and then I've kind of narrowed down over the years into an area of specialism. And more recently I've got involved in procurement sustainability, and I'm recognised as an expert in sustainability within SAP. So again, pick an area that you're passionate about, you're really interested in, and then think about what you might want to specialise in as the years go by, and be renowned for that, be famous for it, and then you'll find that the success will just follow you. My brothers have gone on to have very good careers in their areas. My brother is a very successful manufacturing manager using his mechanical engineering degree. My brother went into creative advertising and media and marketing. My sister studied law. at Brunel University, and he's a very successful solicitor.
So that's fantastic, and I think in your case, it shows that you followed your passion, found a niche for yourself, and were not afraid of following that to its natural course and its natural way. For some people, that niche and specialization might be sector driven, so they might be into media, or in your case, it sounds like it was a technical area which became your niche because you took it from a manufacturing operational business to a technology business, being SAP.
Yes.
When you contrast those two environments, manufacturing, heavy capital intensive industries, albeit people driven, versus SAP as a technology firm, what are your observations of the kind of people who would enjoy the two different environments?
Yeah, first of all, I suppose I'm kind of the antithesis of that, because over the years I've got to realise, and other people got to realise, I'm very much a people person, so I like working with people, building relationships, influencing, etc. And I think that desire, those skills became very pronounced when I was in consulting. So I've worked for EY, I've worked for PwC, and I really enjoyed engaging with clients, understanding what their challenges and issues are, coming with solutions, and then what SAP has allowed me to do is to be in that same type of environment, challenges, issues, how can we help, how can we drive the recommendations, how do we get consensus, how do we get everybody moving forward, the change management. SAP allows me to understand how technology can actually enable those recommendations. So it's not about technology for the sake of technology, it's technology for the sake of actually helping people run their businesses much more effectively and smoothly. So I'm able to reconcile the two in terms of technical engineering. Again, engineering for me was all about running manufacturing processes, making them more efficient, improving the working conditions for people in terms of making a factory more successful, and therefore improving the longevity of the site and guaranteeing employment for everybody, to being in an environment like SAP where I'm, again, helping people, making organisations run more effectively and efficiently, and then think about how that technology can be used as an enabler. So there is a common thread here in terms of efficiency, improvement, but also wanting to help people and improving the lives of people.
So you see, you gave a fabulous description of what one career could be like at SAP. And this is really useful for our mentees because SAP is a technology and consulting business. And I've got to touch on the subject of women in tech, because SAP may or may not be a company that many of our female mentees would consider as their first choice to join upon finishing their education. What are your views as to why women and young women should consider SAP as a company that they would join when they finish their education?
Yes, so I think it's fair to say that SAP is one of the largest global enterprise software companies in the world, and that has a connotation in terms of a masculine environment, heavy technology driven culture. That is not the case at all, or certainly if it was many years ago, it's not like that now. So I would imagine, like most global technology companies, the culture has changed somewhat. So it's not about big, heavy ERP systems and detailed technical implementations. It's all around helping customers to be successful. And with that comes relationship building skills, listening, consultative skills. And I think it's fair to say that in some cases, women have those skills more so than men. So the dynamics are changing, and SAP, if you were to look at the profile of its people in terms of workforce at all levels, it's more or less 50-50 in terms of men and female. There's still work to be done, obviously, in making sure that at the senior level, that representation or profile is represented at a very senior level. But let's not also forget ethnic minorities as well. So there are not many ethnic minorities coming into the technology sector. I will do everything I can to try and encourage people to consider that as being a career, because with that comes innovation, creativity. Yes, if you want to be a technical geek, that opportunity is there for you. If you want to be a customer relationship manager, where you're out in the road building relationships with customers, understand what the challenges might be, bringing in the right people to actually help them get the best of the technology that they've bought, it's there. If you want to be a salesperson who represents SAP in terms of this is who we are as an organisation, this is what we can do for you, we understand your challenges, let's run a workshop. These things are not in the domain of white people, they're not in the domain of males as well. These roles appeal to people of all backgrounds, male, female, doesn't matter what your ethnic origin might be. So I would encourage people to think about the skills they have and how they can be deployed. The barriers are breaking down, the glass ceiling is caving through. Do not let any preconceived ideas hold you back. In this day and age, particularly with millennials coming through, and depending on what reports you read, in 5 years' time, 75% of the workforce will be millennials. This really is a blank sheet of paper for young people to come in and define what they want to do.
Absolutely, and I think increasingly beyond the millennials, Generation Z, we are told, are looking at culture, diversity, inclusion, their ability to even shape and influence the culture of the company that they join. Therefore, they consider those factors when joining a company, and they certainly are willing to leave a company if it doesn't meet their requirements.
Absolutely. I do a lot of work on sustainability, into the working with our customers, to actually think about how they can positively influence the environment and the societies in which they operate, and think about how they can use our technology as an enabler in either building ethical supply chains, identifying risks of slavery in their supply chains, how to using technology to actually build a more diverse supply chain, whether it's minority-owned, women-owned, social enterprises. So technology actually has a play in changing the makeup of how the world is constructed in terms of business and enterprises. And that is a reflection of society these days, where it's all about diversity and inclusion, as you just mentioned. And I have 2 young daughters, and I know for a fact that if they walked into an organisation and they didn't feel it was diverse, didn't feel it was inclusive, they would walk straight out. And lots of surveys have been done which suggest that millennials, Generation X, these generation of people only want to work in diverse and inclusive environment where they are free to express themselves in one way or another. And with that expression of diversity, of course, comes creativity. And lots of organisations realise this and recognise this.
Absolutely, and my observation of the young people that I work with now as part of my charity is that vast majority of them, their number one ambition and dream in life is to contribute to social responsibility, create a society that they want to live in. And I think the corporates are responding to that. So it feels like if a young person who we work with in our hundreds of mentees that the charity works with, and other young people that we engage with, if they did have a ambition and drive to change the world, that actually they could do that through SAP and other corporates that they could work for.
Absolutely, yes.
And equally, if a young woman, ethnic minority, felt that she is a complete technology geek and wants to work in coding, that's all right too. That SAP and other firms would respond very positively to that.
And let me give you an example of where we're taking that to the next level. There are lots of organisations out there who are thinking about how can they engage better with disadvantaged groups or groups of people who find it hard to get employment. So, and this is not just talk, this is actually the talk being walked. There's lots of social enterprises out there, small businesses, minority-owned businesses, which actually employ autistic people. And in the technology world, what we have found is that autistic people have excellent programming and coding skills. They don't need to be client-facing, they don't need to be customer-facing, and they are being employed for the skills that they have. Now, years ago, that wouldn't have been on the agenda. So the world is changing, and we're finding that various groups, whether they're disadvantaged, disabled, black, white, ethnic groups, male, female, whatever your gender might be, whatever your sexual orientation might be, they all have an important role to play in modern society.
Absolutely, and in the words and ethos of one of the patrons of our charity, Renee Carayol, who's wrote a book called The Spike, it's all about finding each individual's spike,
That's
their
right.
unique gift, including others who may be autistic and have other abilities. So that's a very, very positive message in terms of your career background and SAP. Something that I've also noticed, Frank, is that not only you've succeeded in your career so far, you have other interests, other passions that you do follow in your personal life, as well as social activities. How do you manage that?
Well, as I say, or used to say in my younger days, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So yes, you have to have some interest outside of work. And I certainly don't want people to come away from this interview thinking, oh my goodness, Frank works incredibly hard. It's work, sleep, and nothing else. Please do not take that away from this interview. I have other interests. And there's more to me than working at SAP, obviously. So yes, in my spare time, I do go to the gym 2-3 times a week. I am a lark, so I am up early, so I go to the gym, and then I have a shower, and then I start my working day. It's whatever works for you. Some people do it at lunchtime. For me, I find the best time for me is in the morning, but that's important to me. So whether I do it first thing in the morning or lunchtime or in the evening, I would always find the time to do it because it's something I really want to do. I think health and fitness and well-being is really important, or at least it's important to me. I also do martial arts. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I have been for a number of years. Again, something I'm passionate about. I enjoy doing. It keeps me fit, but also I really enjoy doing it. And then more recently, I've taken up ballroom dancing.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Very
right.
impressive.
Yes, it's something which my other half and I do because I do the gym on my own, I do Taekwondo on my own, so we do something together. So again, that's an example of something you can do with your other half, as well as all the other things I like to do on my own. So yes, I do have a variety of interests outside of work. I've got a family that I'm very close to, so I'm still close to my brothers, my sister, my mother, my nephews, my nieces, and of course I've got 2 daughters as well who are demanding in every way possible.
As daughters should be. So it feels like it is possible to come from any background, succeed in achieving the ambitions and passions that you have in life, and still have a well-balanced life, which you share with those you care about and share values with. And I think that's a very, very positive message to end my questions. Before I ask one final question, are there any other tips and hints, do's and don'ts that you'd like to share with our mentees and the young people that we work with?
Yes, well, just to summarise, I think would be the best thing. Do not be held back by your background. When it comes to education, particularly in this country, everybody has access to education. It's how you want to use it. So everybody has the opportunity to go to school and to go on and do GCSEs and A-levels and go on to university. So those opportunities are there. Grab them, because in some parts of the world, those opportunities are not there. Or you have to pay for them and then money comes into it. In this country, it doesn't. It's there. Take it. Take advantage of it. And as I said before, find something you're passionate about. It's something that really motivates you and interests you. Don't worry about where you may end up later on. things will manifest and unfold. The story will tell itself as you progress through your career, as you progress through your education and into your career. Take advantage of the fact that you're young, you've got this energy. Youth is what you have on your side, and the time to plan and do whatever it is you want to do. Don't be held back. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do what you want to achieve. Don't let anyone tell you, well, you know, I'm from a council estate, or I'm from one parent family, or my parents are immigrants and can't speak English. Don't be held back. Just think about what you want to do, what your capabilities are. Your drive and ambition will take you far.
Absolutely, and I would end by saying develop the emotional intelligence so that you do not see your background as a disadvantage, but you see it as something that has made you who you are.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Frank. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for joining us on Leaders Like Us campaign.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.